Now that we've kind of introduced ourselves and how we connected, I'm talking to Chae Marsh, former Nitro Girl, has a new Kickstarter campaign for a product called Ring Along. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of information on your website about it, but one of the things that I really thought was interesting, I found in your blog, and it was about how Diamond Dallas Page gave you advice, just how to market it and kind of how to, take it from point A to point B. And it not only really highlights who he is, but the bond you share as performers. You noted, and I'll mention, you can go check this out on Chae's website. It's ring-along.com. You guys haven't seen each other in like 20 years. And just, he was like, here's what to do. Here's how you can get where you want to be. So can you just talk about how much he helped you and maybe any memories you have of working with him, even though it wasn't direct?
Well, so Paige, he took a lot of interest in us in the beginning because, as you know, Nitro Girls was Kimberly's little baby project, right? Mm-hmm. So Paige was involved in making sure that we were taken care of. And that we also, just kind of let us know that the way that we carry ourselves, it just kind of, it sets a tone with the industry. And also, too, it helps Kimberly because Kimberly is the creator of the Nitro Girls. And she was at the time, she was our boss. But so obviously we, since March of 2001, everybody kind of went separate ways. But, I always stayed in touch with Ross, and Ross is the one that connected me to with Paige. And being who he is and how he just stayed in the industry and so relevant and being a Hall of Famer and everything, I wasn't sure if, number one, he would remember me or if he would even take time for me. And Ross said, no, reach out to him. Because I'm sure Ross knows Paige really well, and just reach out to him. And it was really nice because Paige gave me probably the best advice. Because as you know, when you're starting a business and you're constantly second guessing yourself. I mean, there are mornings that I want to wake up and I'm like, oh, I wish I could erase everyone's memory that I ever talked about this, or even my own. And I just want to crawl back into a hole. I don't know if I can. It's just, it's a lot of pressure. And sometimes it's human nature to want that easy, quick fix or that, fast lane, fast track. And Shark Tank, definitely it's a great, avenue for that because the sharks there, I mean, it's just kind of a matter of they have all the pipeline already established and working well, and you just kind of want to jump on one of their pipelines, and next thing you know, you're in the stores, right? But the advice Paige gave me was so much more, it was deeper. He just kind of pretty much reminded me that I can do anything that I want to do, that in a way that I didn't need anybody. And what I needed was to trust in myself and in my journey. And really, I don't know how, the best way to trust myself is to put myself in situations, vulnerable situations, and live through it and come out on the other end successful. And that's one way to trust yourself. And that's kind of what Paige said. And he just said, yeah, that'll be great, but you can do this on your own. And it's pretty much what he said. And yeah, it's one of those lessons that really is lifelong, that you can tap into for the, duration of your life even.
I will mention, if you guys want to check out more information, not only go to the website, but there's a Kickstarter. If you don't have the link, you search Ring Along and it comes right up. You're about halfway to your goal right now. There's a lot of interesting uses for this for the system, but one thing I would probably say would be useful is going to live events now.
Yeah.
Clear plastic bags, it's probably something that could be really helpful. So if anybody wants to start going back to events or is going to events and gets to one, and I'm like a huge baseball fan, and I've had people that are always like, well, why can't I bring a backpack? Why can't I bring the diaper bag? Why can't I bring this?
Mm-hmm.
Check this out. It might help you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, clear bat, you have clear pouches and lots of different attachments for them. So it could definitely help you.
Right. I mean, you use any of those ring along pouches as your personal storage pouches in your bag. And like, so one time we were going to the Cowboys game, it's been a while, and my friend reminded me, you can't bring your purse in there. And I thought, oh, wait. And I remembered that I had one of the storage bags was a clear one. Mm-hmm. And you just, in sense, it's got the spring rings on both corners. You can clip any straps on there. And or even a little like a wristlet, and it becomes a wristlet. So I was able to take my things in there because I had a clear ring along storage pouch.
See, there you go. The NFL is very strict, probably more than anybody. So one thing that I did want to talk about is how fondly remembered the Nitro Girls are. I think people that were WCW fans remember, hey, you were a dance troupe, how it started with Kimberly, but you were a really big part of the show, like very getting in segments. You had a special pay-per-view, you had a calendar. I believe there was event appearances. It turned into feuding with each other. What do you look back on fondly, the most? Like, was it the camaraderie? Was it being on TV?
Yes, most definitely. Yes, it's the lifelong friendship and support system that we took away that still exists 20 years later. Obviously everybody's busy being successful because they really are individually. But we're always there for each other. We may not check in as often as we want to, but whenever something great happens, we're there to cheer them on. And whenever something unfortunate happens, we're also there to help them through it. So that most definitely, and tie all the life experience, all these experiences with it, because whenever we do come together, we have so many fun memories to tap into that we never run out of things to talk about, and we never run out of things to laugh about. Just all those years of traveling day in and day out. And so, yeah, so it's a lifelong blessing that we took away from it.
Yeah. And I just mentioned a bunch of things that you guys got to do on the shows. I don't think I realized this until like just now, but you also had like a pop group for a little bit.
We did.
I don't think I realized that at the time. I was.
It's okay. We tried. So being in Atlanta, it's like the hub of music, industry.
Yeah.
Yes. Towards the end, we were approached, and that's kind of when Spice Girls started to kind of slow down a bit. And there were so many boy bands with NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. So it was like a natural thing to do because we already had the look and we had some following, and really legit. Some of the girls could shoot, like they could really sing. Not me, but they could really sing really well. So it was a natural thing to do, and not to mention it was such an abrupt stop of what happened. We didn't know it just. Because last we really heard was, Eric was trying to buy the company, and he had a big, huge plan for all of us. And there was like a one time, I think we were at one of the cities, and I was talking to Eric, and Eric had big plans for the Nitro Girls too. So that's kind of like what we knew last. And to have happened what happened in Panama City, it was like a big abrupt thing. So we weren't ready to. It's like going 1,000 miles an hour and completely coming to a complete stop. We're like, okay, we need to like put in neutral and at least push this car a little bit further down the line and see where we can go with it. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I thought that was really just a great example of how popular the group was at the time, like if you could get into that, even though it didn't go as far as that anybody wanted. But I mean, it was all over the show. And maybe if I could just get your thoughts, why do you think the group caught on, and why do you think it still resonates now?
I think group caught on because it was so from the left field. It was so unexpected, right? I think it's kind of one of those, if they would have had some kind of a big group discussion about it, like a town hall, not that they would, but, like town hall about, what do you think about group of, you go to Hawks and you go to, football, games, and you see girls dancing. What do you think about the pro wrestling? I can pretty much bet that most people would say, oh, no way, because they're not used to that. And female presence within wrestling is as a ballet or as a wrestler. And it's kind of one of those things that but they wouldn't have been thinking with the right, with the right view. So when it was just thrown at them, completely unexpected, and all of a sudden, I think it actually fit. Like they didn't have. So instead of, it's almost like trying something new. Instead of, hey, you want this? Then you're like, oh no, looking at it, texture, color, no, I don't want it. But if you're about to put something else in your mouth and somebody just sticks something else in it, and you're like, you know what? That's actually pretty good. So I think that's a lot to do with it. And how can you go wrong with an arena full of men and a couple girls? A group of girls, right?
Yeah.
Especially our first dance was a chair dance. So it's and I think what also was nice is the individuality. We weren't cookie cutters, right? And we weren't just one girl looked the same as the other. It was just, I think it's a diversity that also caught the people's attention.
Yeah. And you speak about diversity. I think, it was one of the few groups that did it at the time, because so many, you mentioned like boy bands and any kind of group like it was very cookie cutter. And then this came along and it wasn't that. It was a bunch of different people. The performing was the common bond. But I remember, and still even now, like you bring up the Nitro Girls and people are like, oh, this one was my favorite, or no, I like this one the most. And it was like never, it was never like one answer. There's always something different to
it was. And even like Spice Girls, other than Scary Spice, they just had different theme or different look. They weren't necessarily different ethnic, in their, that's, well, the tongue twister for me. But they're, it wasn't like different from different backgrounds, ethnically. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite match or moment from whether it was your career in WCW or just one that you were really excited to be part of?
Yes, I would say it would have to be the show in Atlanta when we was at the time, I think it was at the Georgia Dome. I don't think Mercedes-Benz. Yeah, it was at the Georgia Dome. And I think we had over 40,000 people, so that was, and then being in our own backyard, being at home and being able to have our friends and family there. I think that was like a huge showcase. And that was probably the big memory for me.
Yeah. Was that the Goldberg show? Yeah. The Goldberg Hogan show. Okay. Yeah. Cause you were from Atlanta, but you were a cheerleader too for the Falcons. So, you have plenty of reasons to have, a homecoming of sorts. Plus WCW is based there. So do you follow at all right now? Cause I know there's a lot of comparisons between All Elite Wrestling, even though they're in Jacksonville, and WCW. There's a lot of parallels. Do you follow it at all, or?
I do follow. I do follow a little bit. I think it's great that I feel like WWE finally has a really solid competitor. And I know there's, TNA was there, and there's some other wrestling companies. But I think, I feel like a brand can become pretty complacent if you pretty much monopolize the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's great that AEW is coming up. And I know the CM Punk thing was like, I mean, it's still trending, isn't it? Yeah.
I think it happened like 18 days ago, and it's still like, you say something about him and it's like,
I know, but when I saw the video, especially now coming out of the pandemic and not knowing what city is fully operational, whatnot, when I saw the arena, I was just like, okay, I was trying to really, okay, is this really right now happening? This kind of pop, this kind of energy, and this kind of crowd. So yes, it was very exciting to see. It's like life kind of being blown back into the industry.
Yeah, it's fun to watch the crowds, because I'll admit, like, not that I took it for granted, but I was just kind of like, oh, they'll be able to adapt. And then you had all the shows without fans, and
I know
they were still good, but then those first couple shows where you really see the people back, like, that missed it and wanted to be there, it's like, okay, now you kind of, it all kind of clicks. So I haven't been back to one yet, so I'm hoping maybe this month or next month. We'll see. But in the meantime, I wanted to say thank you again for taking the time to talk to me. If anybody wants to check out the Ring Along system, you can go to ring-along.com. Check out the Kickstarter campaign. Just search Ring Along. There's a lot of great information. And one of the other things I mentioned is on your website, you have the blog, where I would say check out the information that you said about DDP. He's not only great to people for, doing what he does with his own program, but just really wants to help people. And, I wish you the best of luck on this campaign. Hopefully the next time we do this, you'll meet your goal and you'll be the shark.
I know, but you know what? It's really not. So it's, you know what? I'm forging forward either way. I learned more about the whole process and what Kickstarter is the past 2 weeks than I ever did learning or researching about it in preparation for my launch. It's experience was very good, but again, this is just like a small, step, and I intend to just keep making my forge forward. So yeah.
I wish you the best of luck, and
thanks, Bill.
Thanks again. Have a good day.
Thanks.